Good morning. Welcome to Yuanwu, part 4. I've got to go and change all of my titles because it's not Yuanwu, it's Yuanwu. It's one word, not two. I like it better my way, but my way doesn't win. We ready? Don't mix poison with your food. Zhao Zhao said, "During my 30 years in the South, the only times I mixed mundane concerns into my mental activity were during the morning and the noon meals." Damn, can you imagine that? 30 years without thinking about what was on the news today, except for supper time? From this, we should realize that in carrying out this matter, the ancient worthies did not take it as a casual thing. On the contrary, they took it seriously and treated it with respect. That's how they persevered in their practice and attained insight. That's how they reached thorough-growing clarity and never fell into empty vanity in action or speech. Thus they maintained Thus they managed to unify worldly phenomenon and enlighten truth. In the present time, those who want to draw near to reality must boldly mobilize their energies and transform what is within them. You must not cling to wrong knowledge and wrong views. You must not mix poison into your food. You must be uniformly pure and true and clean and wondrously illuminated to step directly into the scenery of the fundamental ground and reach the peaceful state and secure stage of great liberation. Then you stand aloof and alone, so that wind cannot blow in and water cannot wet you. The true essence becomes manifest, and in your daily activities you have a measure of power. As you hear sounds and see forms, you don't give rise to grasping or rejecting. With every move you have a road to get out on. Haven't you read this story? A monk asked Zhu Feng, "I've heard tell that you met Yanxiao in person. Is it true?" And Zhu Feng said, Is the wheat in front of the mountain ripe yet or not?" If you could recognize what Zhu Feng was getting at on the intimate level, you will behold the ability of a true patch-robed monk. What is known as the sword that kills and the sword that brings life? Please keep your eye on this. When you get beyond conventions, then you will naturally know where it's really at. Well, I don't understand that one. Okay. Like, how could you know if you've met Joshu or Yanxiao in person unless you yourself go and see? Why can't you see that? Something like that. What is it? Zhao Zhao said, "I don't like to hear the word Buddha." Tell me, why was he like this? Was it because Buddha means omniscient person that he didn't want to hear the word? Clearly this is not the reason. Since it wasn't this, then why didn't he want to hear the word? If you are a clear-eyed person, then you'll know where it's really at as soon as you hear of this. Let me ask you, where is it really at? What does it really mean? Try to delve into what you think about this so that I can see. When Lu Zu saw a monk coming, he would face the wall. Was he helping people or not? Where is the proper proportion? If you want to act in accord with him, what approach should you take? Every time Bai Zhang went into the hall, when he had finished expounding the Dharma and the assembly was dispersing, he would call to them again. When they turned around, he would say, "What is it?" Yao Shan said, "Tell me about what Bai Zhang used to say as everyone was leaving the hall. Whom was it used to contact, and how could insight be attained from it?" Step back and turn to reality. Gao, the patched robe one. This is Dahui Zonggao, one of Yuanwu's most illustrious successors, whose own letters and lectures are translated by J.C. Cleary in Swampland Flowers, which we'll be getting to shortly. Since Gao had an extraordinary spirit, he was not content to follow small understanding. After demonstrating his sincerity, he became one of my associates. We reached accord at a single word, and he shed the halter that had hitherto bridled him, though he had still not reached total comprehension. He was a robust and lively fellow, whom nobody could suppress or rein in. When we traced back where this came from, after all, it was due to Master Wenjin inspiring him. Subsequently, Gao braved the freezing cold and came for a while to visit me at Zhangping. When he came to announce his departure, he asked for some words of teaching, which I accordingly gave him. This is what I told him. Those who wear the patched robe of a Zen wayfarer should be completely serious about taking death and birth as their business. You should work to melt away any obstructions caused by the conditioned knowledge and views and interpretive understanding, and penetrate into a realization of the great causal condition communicated and bequeathed by the Buddhas and ancestral teachers. Don't covet name and fame. Step back and turn to reality until your practical understanding and virtue are fully actualized. When there is real attainment, the more you try to hide it, the more it cannot be concealed. All the sages and all the devas and nagas will try to push a person of real attainment forward, especially after years of cultivation and refinement. Wait until you're like a bell sounding when struck or a valley returning in echo. Wait until you're like pure gold coming forth from a forge, where it has been smelted and refined 10,000 times, so that it will not change in 10,000 generations, so that it is 10,000 years in a single moment. When the grip of transcendence is in your hand, when the grass has been down and the wind blows, then won't you be expansive and generous with resources to spare. Remember, what is important in practice is perseverance and consistency. What did I do with the Kindling the inexhaustible lamp? Even by speaking a phrase to you, I have already doused you with dirty water. It would be even worse for me to put a twinkle in my eye and raise my eyebrow to you, or rap on the meditation seat, or hold up a whisk and demand, "What is this?" As for shouting and hitting, it's obvious that this is just a pile of bones on level ground. There are also the type who don't know good from bad and ask questions about Buddha and Dharma and Zen and the Tao. They ask to be helped. They beg to be received. They seek knowledge and sayings and theories relating to the Buddhist teaching and to transcending the world and to accommodating the world. This is washing dirt in mud and washing mud in dirt. When will they ever manage to clear it away? Some people hear this kind of talk and jump to conclusions, saying, "I understand. Fundamentally, there is nothing to Buddhism. It's there in everybody. As I spend my days eating food and wearing clothes, has there ever been anything lacking?" Then they settle down into the realm of unconcerned ordinariness, far from realizing that nothing like this has ever been part of the real practice of Buddhism. So we know that you must be someone genuinely within the tradition before you can be fully familiar with the fundamental portion of the vehicle of the school that has come down from time immemorial. If you really have an entry into enlightenment, then you know where to start and when to stop. When to start and when to stop. When to advance and when to withdraw. You can distinguish what is permissible from what is not. Leaving behind all leakages, day by day, you get closer to the truth and more familiar with it. As you go further, you change like a panther who no longer sticks to its den. You leap out of the corral. Then you no longer doubt all the sayings of the world's enlightened teachers. You are like cast iron. This is precisely the time to apply effort and cultivate practice and nourish your realization. After that, you can kindle the inexhaustible lamp and travel on the unobstructed path. You relinquish your body and your life to rescue living beings. You enable them to come out of their cages and eliminate their attachments and bonds. You cure them of diseases of being attached to being enlightened, so that, having emerged from the deep pit of liberation, they can become uncontrived, unencumbered, joyfully alive people of the path. So then, when you yourself have crossed over, you must not abandon the carrying out of your bodhisattva vows. You must be mindful of saving all beings, and steadfastly endure the attendant hardship and toil, in order to serve as a boat on the ocean of all knowledge. Only then will you have some accord with the path. Don't be a brittle pillar or a feeble lamp. Don't bat around your little clean ball of inner mystical experience. You may have understood for yourself, but what good does it do? Therefore, the ancient worthies necessarily urged people to travel on the road of the bodhisattva path, so they would be able to requite the unrequitable benevolence of your enlightened predecessors who communicated the Dharma to the world. Nowadays, there are many bright Zen monks in various localities who want to pass through directly. Some seek too much and want to understand easily. As soon as they know a little bit about the aim of the path and how to proceed, they immediately want to show themselves as adepts. Yet, they have already missed it and gone wrong. Some don't come forth, even when they're pushed to do so. But they too are not yet completely enlightened. You are a master of Buddhist teaching methods only when you can recognize junctures and times and patterns of causal conditions, and manage not to miss the real teaching opportunities. Hidden treasure. Brave spirited warriors of the patch robe possess an outstanding, extraordinary aspect. With great determination, they give up conventional society. They look upon worldly status and evanescent, so that's what that word looks like, evanescent, fame as dust in the wind, as clouds floating by, as echoes in the valley. Since they already have great facilities and great capacity from the past, they know that this level exists, and they transcend birth and death and move beyond holy and ordinary. This is the indestructible true essence of all the enlightened ones from all times. Witness. Boy, is that sentence strange. This is the indestructible true essence that all the enlightened ones of all times witness, the wondrous mind that alone the generations of enlightened teachers have communicated. To tread this unique path, to be a fragrant elephant, or giant, golden-winged bird, it is necessary to charge past the millions of categories and types and fly above them, to cut off the flow and brush against the heavens. How could the enlightened willingly be petty creatures, confined within distinctions of high and low, victory and defeat, trying futilely to make comparative judgments of instantaneous experience, and being utterly turned around by gain and loss? For this reason, in olden times, people of great enlightenment did not pay attention to trivial matters, and did not aspire to the shallow and easily accessible. They aroused their determination to transcend the Buddhas and patriarchs. They wanted to bear the heavy responsibility that no one can fully take up, to rescue all living beings, to remove suffering and bring peace, to smash the ignorance and blindness that obstructs the way, They wanted to break the poisonous arrows of ignorant folly and extract the thorns of arbitrary views from the eye of reality. They wanted to make the scenery of the fundamental ground clear and reveal the original face before the empty eon. You should train your mind and value actual practice wholeheartedly, exerting all your power, not shrinking from the cold or the heat. To go to the spot where you meditate and kill your mental monkey and slay your intellectual horse. Make yourself like a dead tree, like a withered stump. Suddenly you penetrate through. How could it be attained from anyone else? You discover the hidden treasure. You bring the lamp into the dark room. You launch the boat across the center of the fort. You experience great liberation, and without producing a single thought, you immediately attain true awakening. Having passed through the gate into the inner truth, you ascend to the sight of universal light. Then you sit in the impeccably pure supreme seat of the emptiness of all things. Moving into action as an enlightened teacher, with rolling waves in the ocean of speech, you unleash the skills of unobstructed understanding and eloquence. With chosen pupils, you set up a situation or utter a saying to reveal extraordinary perceptions. You cause all beings, whether ordinary or sage, whether sentient or insentient, to look up to the awesome light and receive its protection. But this is not yet the stage of effortless achievement. You must go further beyond, to where the 1,000 sages cannot trap you. The myriad conscious beings have no way to look up to you. The gods have no way to offer you flowers, and the demons and outsiders cannot spy on you. You must cast off knowledge and views, discard mysteries and marvels, and abandon all contrived actions. You simply eat when hungry and drink when thirsty, and that is all. At this stage, you are never aware of having mind or not having mind, of gaining mindfulness or losing mindfulness. So how could you still be attached to what you have previously learned and understood, to mysteries and marvels, and analysis of essential nature, to the feathers of names and forms and arbitrary opinions? How could you still be attached to views of Buddha and views of Dharma, or to earth-shaking worldly knowledge and intellect? You would be tying and binding yourself. You would be counting the grains of sand in the ocean. What would there be to rely on? All those who are truly great must strive to overcome the obstacles of delusion and ignorance. They must strive to jolt the multitudes out of their complacency and to fulfill their own fundamental intent and vows. If you do this, only if you do this are you a true person of the path. Without contrived activity and without concerns, a genuine wayfarer of great mind and great vision and great liberation. Oh, itchy. I can't think of anything to comment on, so I'm not going to comment. I'm letting Master Yuanwu do all the talking for me. Never mind. I'm being goofy right now. Okay, I'm going to need this nicotine in just a couple moments here. A lotus in fire. I would not say that those in recent times who study the way do not try hard, but often they just memorize Zen stories and try to pass judgment on the ancient and modern Zen masters, picking and choosing among words and phrases, creating complicated rationalizations, and learn stale slogans. When will they ever be done with this? If you study Zen like this, all you get is a collection of worn-out antiques and curios. When you seek the source and investigate the fundamental in this fashion, after all, you're just climbing up the pole of your own intellect and imagination. Why don't you encounter, if you don't encounter an adept, if you don't have indomitable will yourself, if you have never stepped back into yourself and worked on your spirit, if you have not cast off your former and subsequent knowledge and views of surpassing wonder, if you have not directly gotten free of all this and comprehended the causal conditions of the fundamental great matter, then that is why you are still only halfway there and falling behind and cannot distinguish or understand clearly. If you just go on like this, then even if you struggle diligently all your life, you still won't see the fundamental source, even in a dream. This is why the man of old said, enlightenment is apart from verbal explanations. There has never been any attainer. Deshan said, our school has no verbal expressions and not a single thing or teaching to give to the people. Zhao Zhao said, I'd even like to hear the word Buddha. Look at how, in verbally disavowing verbal explanations, they had already scattered dirt and messed people up. If you go on looking for mysteries and marvels in the Zen master's blows and shouts and facial gestures and glaring looks and physical movements, you will fall even further into the wild fox's den. All that is important in this school is that enlightenment be clear and thorough, like the Silver Mountain and the Iron Wall, towering up solitary and steep, many miles high. Since this realization is as sudden as sparks and lightning, whether or not you try to figure it out, you will immediately fall into a pit. That is why, since time immemorial, the adepts have guarded this one revelation, and all arrived together at the same realization. Here there is nowhere for you to take hold. Once you can clear up your mind, you are able to abandon all entanglements, and you are cultivating practice relying on an enlightened spiritual friend. It would be really too bad if you weren't patient enough to get to the level where the countless difficulties cannot get near you, and to lay down your body and your mind there and investigate till you penetrate all the way through. I need you. Have a tea with my coffee and Sid and Yuanwu. I bet they spoke back then. Was it a big taboo? Over thousands of lifetimes and hundreds of eons up until now, that there have ever been any discontinue continuity and the fundamental reality. Okay. Over thousands of lifetimes and hundreds of eons up until now, that there ever been any discontinuity in the fundamental reality or not. That there ever been? This is an edit error, edit error, edit error. This is an edit error. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay. Since there has been no discontinuity, what birth and death and going and coming is there for you to be in doubt about? Obviously, these things belong to the providence of causal conditions. Is this causal or casual? This word always bothers me too. So I'm going to say causal. Causal conditions, and have absolutely no connection to the fundamental matter. My teacher Wuzu often said, I have been here for 5 decades, and I have seen thousands and thousands of Zen followers come up to the corner of my meditation set, and they were all just seeking to become Buddhas and to expand the Buddhism. I have never seen a genuine wearer of the Pata robe. How true this is. As we observe the present time, even those who expound Buddhism are hard to find, much less any genuine people. The age is in decline, and the sages are further and further distant. In the whole great land of China, the lineage of Buddha is dying out right before our very eyes. We may find one person, or half a person, who is putting the Dharma into practice, but we would not dare expect them to be like the great examples of enlightenment, the dragons and elephants of yore. Nevertheless, if you simply know the procedures and aims of practical application of the Dharma and carry on correctly from beginning to end, you are already producing a lotus from within the fire. You must put aside all the conditioning that entangles you. Then you will be able to perceive the inner content of the great enlightenment that has come down since ancient times. Be at rest wherever you are, and carry on the secret, closely, continuous, intimate level practice. The devas will have no road to strew flowers on, and the demons and outsiders will not be able to find your tracks. This is what it means to truly leave home and thoroughly understand oneself. If, after you've reached this level, circumstances arise as the result of merit that led you to come forward and extend a hand to communicate enlightenment to others, this would not be inappropriate. As Buddha said, just acquiesce in the truth. You surely won't be deceived. But even for me to speak this way is another case of a man from bandit land seeing off a thief. Shall we? It's very short, so we'll do this one. Bringing out the family treasure. If you want to attain intimacy, the first thing is, don't seek it. If you attain through seeking, you've already fallen into interpretive understanding. This is especially true because this great treasury extends throughout all times, clearly evident, empty and bright. Since time without beginning, it has been your own basic root. You depend on its power entirely for all of your actions. You will only pass through to freedom when you cease and desist to the point that not even a single thought is born. Then you penetrate through without falling into sense and matter and without dwelling on conceptualizations and mental images. When you absolutely transcend these, then the whole world does not hide it. Everywhere, everything becomes its great function, and every single thing flows forth from your own breast. The ancients called this bringing out the family treasure. Once this is attained, it is attained forever. How could it ever be used up? Just be wary that your investigation does not rest on a firm footing, and that you will not be able to penetrate through to realization. You must bravely cut off all entanglements, so there is not the slightest dependence or reliance. Relinquish your body and give up your life, and directly accept the suchness that faces you. There is no other. Even if the 1,000 sages came forth, it wouldn't change you at all. Leaving it to the flow of all times, eating food and wearing clothes, you nurture the embryo of sagehood into maturity, not keeping to intellectual understanding. Isn't this an exceptionally excellent teaching and most essential shortcut? All right, I'll let it go. I could probably go on. I want to go on. I could go on forever and ever, but I don't know if everybody wants me to, so I'll just take a break and come back later. And if you wanted me to go on, you'll just catch the next video right after this one. Yay! But I'm taking a break first. Love and light. Good night.